Are you not concerned about that? And I say that because it seems to me if you're concerned about what Hunter Biden did, you should be equally outraged about what Jared Kushner did.
I'm concerned about getting the truth. I don't target individuals.
You don't? You're targeting Hunter Biden multiple times on this show, Senator. You're targeting an individual.
Republican Senator Ron Johnson did not take kindly to being asked mildly challenging questions from Chuck Todd on NBC News. Now, this is on Meet the Press, of course, and I enjoyed the interaction, which is rare for me to say when Chuck Todd is involved. But nonetheless, let's watch the rest.
Were you at all concerned? Your Senate Democrats want to investigate Jared Kushner's loan from the Qatari government when he was working in the government negotiating many things in the Middle East. Are you not as concerned about that? Are you not concerned about that? And I say that because it seems to me if you're concerned about what Hunter Biden did, you should be equally outraged about what Jared Kushner did.
I'm concerned about getting the truth. I don't target individuals.
You don't? You're targeting Hunter Biden multiple times on this show, Senator. You're targeting an individual.
Chuck, my concern, Chuck, part of the problem, and this is pretty obvious to anybody watching this, is you don't invite me on to interview me. You invite me on to argue with me.
Look, you can go back on your partisan cable cocoon and talk about media bias all you want. I understand it's part of your identity.
Oh, Ron Johnson, United States Senator, is it too difficult to be asked questions that, might challenge you just a little bit? It's amazing how quickly these snowflakes melt when a corporate anchor on a corporate news program asks an obvious question about the hypocrisy here. Why is it that Republicans are so obsessed with investigating Hunter Biden, someone who does not have a role within the federal government like Jared Kushner did, when Jared Kushner was clearly wheeling and dealing with foreign governments while he was in his position of power serving in the Trump administration? Easy question. I mean, no, not an easy question. It calls out the hypocrisy, of course. But we're talking about a United States senator who should at least expect to be asked a question like that, but he didn't. And he's so salty, Emma, that Chuck Todd had the audacity to ask him an obvious question. And go ahead.
No, he's a known liar. I mean, he said that he would only run for 2 terms. Well, yeah, he promised that. He was like, making it a hallmark of his campaign that he wanted to close the revolving door. Well, he just was reelected to his 3rd term. So, known liar. Also, arguably the dumbest senator in the Senate, although
there's a lot of competition.
There's a lot of competition. I mean, but he's definitely in the top 5 on the draft board for sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be DNC simp here, right? But the investigations into Hunter Biden are mean-spirited. Hunter Biden has gone through immense trauma in his life. He has experienced a lot of loss and has suffered from addiction. And essentially what the Republican Party has done through their various media operations is parse through his personal laptop, release salacious photos and material about his sex life and drug use to various tabloids, and then are now gonna head an investigation in the House into that material so it gets wider exposure for people. For what purpose? We have no idea, except for their own political ends. And frankly, I think it's mean-spirited and comes off as mean-spirited to a lot of people, especially because Republicans are going off about fentanyl all the time, right? Drug addiction. It's coming over our borders. It's hurting our families. And the reality is that that's the case, right? We do have an opioid epidemic in this country. We have an addiction epidemic in this country. But they don't actually care about people who are experiencing addiction. They would expand healthcare if that were the case. No, they want to use it as a way to say demonize people coming over the southern border and claim that it's them bringing the drugs over, when we know that the opioid epidemic in the United States originated from pharmaceutical manufacturers more than anybody.
Right.
And you can just see that in the way that they treat Hunter Biden. They don't care about addiction or have compassion for people with addiction. When they get an opportunity, they use it for tabloid fodder and for political benefit.
Right. I mean, God, you crystallize that so perfectly, Emma, because you're right. They will pretend as though they are concerned about the opioid epidemic or fentanyl when they can specifically tie that to the southern border, to immigration, when they can use it as a talking point to scaremonger about immigration and what's going on in our southern border. But when it's not convenient for them to talk about the epidemic, to talk about how these drugs are destroying people's lives in this country, well then, they'll turn around and paint the kind of picture that you would expect conservative Republicans to paint of those who are struggling with substance abuse, as Hunter Biden has experienced in his life. Now look, I wanna be clear, if there's any evidence indicating that Hunter Biden, and by the way, specifically Joe Biden, who is the president of the United States, did some wheeling and dealing with foreign governments and there was some sort of criminality associated with that, great, let's do an investigation. The problem is that is not what this investigation is about. They wanna waste time and government resources in investigating Hunter Biden over salacious purposes when the 4 years prior to the Biden administration, we had the Trump White House literally funneling government money to Trump's personal businesses, demanding that government events be held at Trump properties while inflating the prices of hotel rooms. So essentially government money flows into the coffers of the Trump family through these businesses. I mean, there's no investigation into that. Who cares about that, right? I mean, that's our money that got funneled to the Trump family.
What's more, I mean, he's a Nepo baby, right? To use that term that's being overused, Hunter Biden. That's really the allegation. He got that job at that energy company because the energy company thought it would get access to Joe Biden, who was the vice president at the time. That, or maybe if he ran for president after. That is really the end of the substance of the allegation, and they have no leg to stand on, as you say, Anna. When Trump staffed his White House with family members so they could explicitly trade on their family name while they were in office. So it's just absolutely absurd. And there is the mean-spiritedness that really bothers me. And also the fact that Republicans are so high and mighty about family values and about traditional marriage and groomers in the Democratic Party and being anti-trans and anti-gay people, when the root of all of this is this titillating element for them where they get to see Hunter Biden's intimate body parts. And
Johnson wants to see Hunter Biden's Johnson. I mean, Johnson is obsessed with Hunter Biden's Johnson. I mean, that's what they want to do. It's so gross. And honestly, it's reminiscent of what happened with the Bill Clinton impeachment. And that did backfire on Republicans because the American public was just like, yo, why are we obsessing over Bill Clinton's sex life right now? Like, what is this? It's kind of turned into this salacious, S show, for lack of a better word. But final part of the story that I love. So Chuck Todd recommends that Ron Johnson go back to his partisan media cocoon. And guess what? Ron Johnson did just that. He made several appearances in right-wing media to complain about Chuck Todd. Here's a quick compilation.
It is pretty insulting. I don't recall another supposedly major news anchor insulting U.S. Senator the way he is happy to insult me time and time again. I mean, this was just basically a replay of the last time I was on the show 2 years ago when we had a very similar type of encounter. This is what people like Chuck Todd don't want to admit, is that the bias in the media is one of the things that is inflaming our politics. Certainly conservatives understand that we don't have a fair fight here. It's not a level playing field. The bias in the media is very obvious to us. They're not journalists anymore. They're advocates for the Democrat Party. And so they see things from a completely biased and slanted view, the viewpoint of the left. And so, like so many other leftists, they don't believe that there's any other viewpoint that's valid.
Ah, yes, Emma. Chuck Todd, a well-known leftist. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, this is the oldest trick in the book for the Republicans. They've been doing this for decades at this point, claiming that the media is liberal when we all know that that's not the case, in order to deflect from their lies, right? That's exactly what that serves, is when they can claim media bias that is against them. They have plausible deniability to a general population that this interview actually wasn't a disaster that called me out on my complete hypocrisy and lie fest. No, it's just media bias by known Antifa member Chuck Todd.
Right. I mean, look, it is stunning how he didn't even answer the question, and he immediately pivoted to, "You're being mean." That's it. That's all we heard from him. How about you answer the question? But he won't, because he knows it's true. He is a hypocrite, much like other Republicans who are hyper-focused on endless investigations of Hunter Biden, but have no interest in ever investigating potential conflicts of interest, self-dealing, or even criminality when it comes to Donald Trump and his family members. That's just the reality.
And let me just add one more thing too, just about the Hunter Biden thing. Much like you said about the Monica Lewinsky scandal and why a lot of Americans were turned off by it, there are many, many Americans, a majority of Americans, who have someone in their family, have a friend that has struggled with addiction.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of crap being put on air, on display, it's not gonna sit well with the American public, I guarantee it, because it's mean-spirited and cruel, and I just feel like that people are gonna sense it, and I hope and think it will backfire.
I think so too. I mean, it seems like Republicans keep stepping in it, dismantling reproductive rights, thinking that it would somehow help them in elections. It did the opposite. I mean, I love seeing it, so go for it. You want to investigate Hunter Biden, let's see how it works out for you.